Hi, Dr. K. Thank you for accommodating this. I'm in New Hampshire and working from my iPad and also my iPhone, so doing the best that I can with the technology that I've got. And I'm going to go ahead and record my presentation, which I had hoped to submit with a voiceover narrating the slides. So I'll just start. The diagnosis and disorder that I decided to use today for my presentation is depersonalization derealization disorder, or DPDR from now on. And the title of this is I'm Not Here, This Isn't Happening, Disconnect and Reconnection. The reason that I went with this title is because of this song called How to Disappear Completely by Radiohead that was written by Tom York after the release of OK Computer. He reached out to the lead singer of REM, Michael Stipe, who just encouraged him to sort of disconnect from all of the outside noise that was going on that he wasn't able to take in. And I think it aligns really well with some of the symptoms of this disorder. And for him, it was a way to deal with the success he was experiencing. And for other people, it's clearly life inhibiting. So going on to slide 2, the audience that I'm speaking to is the client. The purpose of this is to provide understanding and support. My belief is that knowledge is empowerment, and understanding the symptoms, understanding the diagnostic criteria, and some of the big words that go along with this can certainly help somebody to feel like they know what's going on, as opposed to being afraid and scared and like they're going crazy, which is a common theme of DPDR. So slide number 3, what is DPDR? When I think of this diagnosis, there's 3 Ds, with detachment being one that I think of as the umbrella. And underneath that umbrella, there's depersonalization and derealization. Both of those lead to feelings of detachment. It's just they kind of differ in where those feelings come from. And I think that the Truman Show, there's a few parts of that show that I've shared a clip that I think do a good job of providing an example of derealization, which will go on to the next slide. Derealization, a lot of clients and a lot of people like you might be feeling like you're dreaming with your eyes open. That's a common sentiment that people share. I just want you to know you're not going crazy. You can feel like you're watching yourself, maybe through a looking glass, like you're in the room and you're on the other side viewing your own experience. People report feeling foggy, or that the world is flat or just slightly off-colored. And so derealization is really the detachment from your environment. And I want to emphasize that you aren't crazy. And as we'll learn, DPDR and some of these symptoms are actually your brain protecting you. On slide 5, I've prepared a video that I think does a good job of showing derealization. I won't play it, but it shows the main character of the Truman Show finally coming to the realization that the world around him is fake. And that's a symptom, or it's just I think it's a good video that shows what those symptoms kind of look like. So for depersonalization, again, these are really big words that I'm trying to make more approachable. Depersonalization is, again, it's about detachment. It's feeling like your body isn't your own. You might feel robotic, or like your replies are on autopilot. Similarly to derealization, you do feel like you're watching yourself, but it's an environmental disconnect with derealization. And with depersonalization, it's a physical disconnect with yourself. And so you may feel like you're just watching yourself. It can feel overwhelming. And again, I know it can feel like you're going crazy, but I want to emphasize that you can get better. We'll continue on with these topics. You can get better. You can cure it completely. You can learn to manage these symptoms. Some things that I want to point out that DPDR is not. It's not psychosis. It's not hallucination. For instance, one of the diagnostic criteria is that you have to know that what you're experiencing isn't real, which is what separates it from psychosis and what separates it from hallucination. You might feel like you're going insane, like you're crazy, but the reality is that it's a stress response. And one of the really interesting things that I think it's important for you as a client to know is that your brain is actually putting in protective measures for your experience. And what's happening, to get into the real biological brain chemistry part of it, is that your prefrontal cortex, your control center, is going into overdrive. And the amygdala, because so much of the prefrontal cortex is being used, the amygdala is being underutilized. The amygdala is your emotional control center. And so the control center in charge of everything, your prefrontal cortex, is taken over, and it's suppressing your amygdala because of the experience that you're having. It's too overwhelming, and so the control center that's in charge of everything says, I'm taking over and we'll take it from here. But that leads to the feelings of detachment. But again, you're not crazy, you're not insane, you're not hallucinating, and you're very rooted in your own reality, and you know that. This is a fairly common diagnosis that people will have, and I guess maybe not fairly common, but it's 2% of the population will experience this. Sometimes it can be short term, and oftentimes it occurs alongside PTSD. So I think that that's an important thing to also discuss as we discuss the etiology or some of the causes of why DPDR happen. Childhood trauma. 90% of people report that they have experienced 2 or more types of abuse. So it can happen at school, it can happen at church, it can happen at home. Bullying is a huge cause of DPDR. And then the PTSD component, there's tons of overlap with PTSD, and it often co-occurs in cases. As much as 50% of people diagnosed with DPDR will also be diagnosed with PTSD. Anxiety is something that can be a cause of this, as your brain is feeling overwhelmed with anxiety. The brain chemistry that's occurring is going to, again, turn into a protective measure. So I think it's important to know that DPDR really is a diagnosis that encompasses your environment, the biology, and even your social upbringing. Some of the diagnostic criteria is that you should experience, or that you will have experienced, depersonalization or derealization. In many cases, you'll have experienced both. You, as the client, are aware that you are rooted in reality and that these things that are happening outside, it's not real. So you know that that's going on. They're intense feelings, but you know it's not real. It's persistent. It's going to continue over a long period of time and not just a single episode. The symptoms have to be clinically significant and interfere with your ability to function. It'll affect work and your relationships. And then the last part is that this is removed from drug usage, removed from alcohol. It's removed from social norms, and it's removed from religious norms. And so those are the diagnostic criteria. Is it treatable? And yes, absolutely. You can receive treatment. You can completely recover. You can learn to manage them. And the focus is typically on stress, reducing stress, reconnection with your body, reconnection with your environment, and then finally safety. Some of the evidence-based treatments, and I need to learn to spell treatments apparently. CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, it will help you identify and challenge the negative thoughts that you're having. It emphasizes that you're not dangerous, you're not crazy. DPDR is not you're not a danger to others. And it will encourage you to stay in the moment by introducing grounding techniques, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So we're trying to keep you away from moving from detachment. Mindfulness, breathing techniques, staying present in your body, relaxing into yourself. Mindfulness is another evidence-based treatment. And then finally, EMDR, which is eye movement. The client will be with the practitioner, and their eyes move back and forth rapidly as they talk about some of the traumatic experiences that they've had. Most people think that it's probably a combination of those two, but it's more of an emphasis on being able to talk about the traumatic incidents in your life and being able to confront those that lead to being able to move past some of the symptoms that your traumatic experiences might be causing. So the rapid eye movement creates comfort by distracting you from the emotion of your traumatic lived experience. Some other approaches that work, and these are tied into some of those, grounding. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. We're trying to keep you rooted. Box breathing. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, hold that for 4. Returning to yourself. Creative expression, so entering into a flow state, so you're feeling very a part of yourself. And then finally, physical grounding, feeling textured items and temperature changes can actually sort of jolt you away from that detachment by using like cold compresses on your face. So why do these help? Again, it's managing your symptoms, sometimes curing them. The social connections are going to help you feel a part of something larger, but mainly it's to help you stay present and to help you remove the fear of feeling crazy. So re-emphasizing here, you're not crazy. Your brain is helping you. It's helping you to deal with some of those traumatic events by essentially taking control, taking over your emotional state. And ideally what we want to do is merge those two together. I included a video with somebody talking a little bit more about why these things happen, and some further things for people to watch about DPDR. There's a great podcast that discusses this. It has 2 different episodes. There's a movie called Numb starring Matthew Perry, and that is entirely about DPDR. It's got a great scene where he's describing depersonalization to a significant other, and you can see that is clinically significant in that moment. It's affecting a relationship. And then finally, a very famous classical literature, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and I have linked all of those into this slideshow for you. And then finally, my references. So I think that I've hopefully helped you learn a little bit more about your diagnosis and feeling comfortable, safe in understanding what you're going through. And then also you'll be able to leave this with hope and optimism that you'll move past it with some help from somebody that knows how to support you. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Kite.